Good evening. They're the pictures which might amuse, but it's no joke to the thousands of Queenslanders who've been victims of crime.
Two friends up late playing cards have turned the tables on thieves who fled so fast, one left a licence behind.
Armed and scared, thieves nursing machetes run for their freedom. They've just been confronted by two mates playing cards.
Gave one of the intruders a wallop in the face and they went scuttling across the neighbours lawn there.
They tried but failed to steal two cars. They piled into their getaway vehicle and fled.
Dead end street and had to come back, didn't they?
Where the pair staged a rubbish revolt with garbage bins lining them up and attempt to box the thieves in. They plough right through the final line of defence.
Anyone near the street, they would have died because of the speed they were going, and then they laughed as they drove past.
They won't be laughing for long though. One of the suspects left their driver's licence behind. It's now in the hands of police. Hours later, they went to Ormo. They got away with a wallet.
They didn't get what they were trying to get.
Instead, losing a lot of pride from a man who last year chased another group away.
Just stay away from my street.
Declan Milton, 7 News.
Notorious childcare predator Ashley Paul Griffith will remain locked up for life with his appeal bid thrown out in a Brisbane court. The convicted pedophile pleaded guilty to more than 300 charges, including rape and admitting to harming 69 young girls across Queensland, interstate and overseas. He was sentenced to life behind bars with a non-parole period of 27 years, which lawyers argued was manifestly excessive. Victims and their families say it is a relief and now hope he will be extradited to New South Wales to face other offences.
It's helped us, and we can only think that for the victims down there, they need to start this process, don't they, to even start to move forwards.
It will now be up to the Attorney-General in New South Wales to begin that extradition process. Griffith can apply for parole in Queensland in 2049.
A home in Brisbane's east has been destroyed in an explosive fire, described by neighbours as a disaster waiting to happen.
They say people had been living there without permission for years.
Before dawn, flames roar above the roofline of this Morningside home, a squatter's hangout, becomes a furnace.
It must have hit something that made it just explode.
It sounded like a car backfiring, but times 20.
Loud enough to wake almost everyone near Monmouth Street.
It went from 0 to 100 in the space of a couple of minutes.
The derelict home had only been vacated a month ago, slated for redevelopment.
You would not think that anybody would be living in that house. It's appalling, and it's just been in horrendous condition for years.
With police called here multiple times a week.
Neighbours had become so worried something like this would happen, some began their own surveillance on the property, documenting who was coming and going.
Security video capturing a car and a man turning up in the middle of the night, leaving minutes before the fire. One of several leads detectives have been looking at.
And they're taking photos and doing their investigation.
They've since ruled out arson, but given the extent of the damage, it may be impossible to ever pinpoint where and how this all started. Michael Hammond, 7 News.
Townsville Mayor Nick Demetto has taken leave as detectives continue to investigate allegations he assaulted a staffer who works for Government MP Adam Bailey. The violence allegedly unfolded when they were on a pub crawl at Magnetic Island last Sunday. Council minutes show the mayor requested a leave of absence weeks ago. The 42-year-old is due to return to work next week to hand down his first council budget.
Whether it's from a billionaire or everyday Australians, the surging support for One Nation is turning heads across the country. But even as millions of dollars in donations continue to pour in, One Nation's critics say they are the enemy of working Australians.
Heady days for Pauline Hanson. These protesters have forced a late change of Melbourne venue this evening for a One Nation cocktail party fundraiser.
We had too many bookings, people wanting to come, so that's why we had to change location.
Not because of the protesters?
Oh God, no. Yeah.
I thought we've arrived at Melbourne, not Pyongyang.
Last night, the One Nation leader was mixing it with supporter Gina Rinehart and guests at the billionaire mining magnate's new Perth base. Rinehart, the donor behind Hanson's $1.5 million plus personal aircraft. This as One Nation claims spectacular success from ordinary Australian donors to its Fire the Liar fundraiser.
This whole debate is a smokescreen for the fact that they are actually run by the top end of town.
Late this afternoon, the party was claiming its play to the Prime Minister's broken tax promises had drawn way over $3 million from more than 50,000 donors.
We might just move the banner so that we can get into some rough and tumble politics.
The Environment Minister says by opposing tax changes, One Nation is the enemy of working Australians.
They oppose the very change that we're trying to produce that would make life better for working people.
And Angus Taylor has discovered a new trap for senior politicians, asked to simply name the electorate he was standing in.
I'm going to focus on the future of this country.
Do you not notice?
We'll keep going.
Seriously, do you
we'll
not
keep
know
going.
the name of the electorate?
We'll keep going around.
In WA?
The opposition leader eventually conceding he didn't know. Pauline Hanson and her star recruit Barnaby Joyce are at that new Melbourne venue tonight for those drinks and fundraising. Many police at the South Melbourne address, not so many protesters though. This as the coalition appears unsure on how to treat its new roommate on the right. Earlier this week, leader Angus Taylor and new Liberal President Tony Abbott both talked up potential preference deals with Hanson's party. By this morning, Liberal Deputy Jane Hume, though, was telling 7 Sunrise that there is no talk at all of any deals with One Nation. Sarah.
Thank you, Tim. Moreton Bay residents have been spared a significant rate rise despite growing cost pressures on the council and a major price hike in a neighbouring region. Owner-occupiers will have to pay an extra $1 a week.
Peter Flannery's adopted 7 budgets as mayor now, none as big as this at $1.2 billion, perhaps his most difficult too.
It's tough. Council's had an impact with the rise in fuel costs, electricity costs, construction costs as well. So, I think that every council's in that boat.
Owner-occupiers will see a rate hike of just under 5%. That's $1 a week.
With everything else going up, it's just another
It's just
cost.
another one.
Got a couple of houses and I pay too much.
I'm not really surprised. I think everything's going up and things need to be paid for.
Council says there's still some of the lowest rates in southeast Queensland. Sunshine Coast residents were just hit with an almost 10% increase.
It's probably the history we've had. We've had great bank balances.
The total capital works spend is $454 million, including upgrades to Dolly's Rocks, Old Gympie and Caboolture River roads. Young's Crossing will get a new flood-resilient bridge. There's $11.7 million to finish the Suttons Beach Pavilion and $88 million across 4 years to prepare for the Olympics, including Celebration Boulevard, which will lead to the indoor stadium. While some councils are reining in spending with job cuts, Moreton Bay will instead go on a hiring blitz. The budget includes funding for around 100 new frontline and maintenance workers.
Because we're growing, our demand's increasing.
With no end to the growth in sight. Jade Richards, 7 News.